Celtics and Pacers. How good can the Pacers offense be? How many games can it win them? How does the Celtics defense stop it? And how do the Pacers stop the Celtics? It's all right now on a crossover preview.
Thanks to Blockbuster Brand, it's holiday season, drop Drew in the mix. And 3 from KP, no we not on the Knicks. Flushing competition like Al on Giannis. Juice and Big Deuce, still Beantown's finest. Banner 18 going up in the rafters. Watch the Seeds game in locked on after. Karalis on the breakdown, clutch like a tip from D. White on the breakdown. John on the mic, documenting domination. Matter pen a back bay, it's all Seeds Nation. Rain and Jace, how we started, raising business, how we finish. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners. Peace.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. I got you covered every day, Monday through Friday, plus bonus podcasts. When they plan the weekends, you're never going to miss a game, especially not in the playoffs. So all kinds of coverage here on the Locked On Celtics podcast. Subscribe, or if you're not subscribed already, ring the bell on YouTube, get into the comment section. Let me know what you're thinking. If you're new to the show, I'm John Karalis. Used to play a long time ago. Now I'm covering the Celtics for Boston Sports Journal. And today, first of all, today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. It's a crossover preview. Me and Tony East of Locked On Pacers getting into a deep dive. How the Celtics can win. How can the Pacers win? Can they win at all? That Pacers offense, we get to all of it. Every little detail. It's all right now. Here's my conversation with Tony East. Here we are. Look at us. Look at who would have thought? Not us. So Celtics Pacers. So what do you think? Let's just start off with our initial kind of quick, like, what brought us to this point here, Tony?
You say, you're wow. Who'd have thought it was us? Well, everybody thought it'd be you.
Well, yeah. The Celtics are the one team of all of the teams that are left. The Celtics are the one team that's supposed to be where they are.
Yes.
The East was kind of, wide open. Lots of criticisms about the Celtics path, but it is what it is. And now the Pacers got rid of that Knicks team was, I keep joking, like the Bluesmobile, but it fell apart while they were driving instead of at the end.
Yes, it was quite sad for the Knicks. Here's what I think about Pacers Celtics that's fascinating to me. John, 4 teams beat the Celtics twice this season.
That's right.
The Hawks, what the heck was that? But they were random March games, whatever.
That was a March
whatever.
Season was basically locked up. So that
the
counts,
Bucks,
but doesn't.
The Bucks, who are good, the Nuggets, who are the defending champs, and the Pacers. Yep. So on one hand, I'm like, okay, I don't think the Pacers can win the series, but like they've shown they can do well against Celtics. On the other hand, John, the Celtics are one of only 2 teams that beat the Pacers 3 times this season. The other one being the Chicago Bulls for some reason. So it's weird to say they both had success against each other, right? Like it's kind of an odd dynamic entering the series.
And the success the Pacers had is different than who the Pacers are right now, because it came pre-Siakam and it came pre-Haliburton injury. They were both actually one came during the Haliburton injury.
The night it happened. Yeah.
It was the night it happened. And so that was TJ McConnell going nuts. And that was, I believe, officiating discrepancies, we'll call that. I remember everybody was very focused on the last 2-minute report after that game.
Yeah, I forgot about
that. The other game was Haliburton just, God mode, his like early season MVP push, where he was, the center of attention and everybody was just salivating over, wow, Tyrese Haliburton, in-season tournament, like legend. And look, he was playing the best basketball of his life there, which makes the injury and what happened afterwards kind of sad for everybody. But here we are, and the Siakam trade changed some of the dynamic, and The Celtics without Porzingis changes some of the dynamic, but I will say the offense that the Pacers boast is the type of offense that Joe Mazzulla freaking hates. Potential high shooting variance potential. Like they have the potential to put up 53 pointers and hit, 28 of them. And that's something that he's talking about it at practice on Monday, where they don't have a uniform spacing. It's kind of randomized. And what that does is it just kind of messes with your rotations, and you end up with two guys on, some place where you shouldn't have two guys, and it creates these advantages on the floor. And the Pacers are very good at taking advantage of those advantages. And that's why they're able to put up a ton of points. So I can already tell you that, yeah, the Pacers are the 6th seed and the lowest seed that the Celtics are going to, have faced so far. But this is going to be the biggest challenge because of that offense, because of the randomness, because of the high potency, the high variance, that I can tell you that Joe Mazzulla is like, God, I hate this. This is like walking into just a big swarm of gnats. And remember the pitcher? Who was the pitcher that had like all the bugs around him and he blew the Yankees pitcher a few years ago, many years ago, where he just got swarmed and just gave up a bunch of home runs and whatever. But that's what it feels like the Celtics are kind of walking into, like the potential for like being swarmed by all this little annoying stuff. And you're like, oh man, we're down 30.
Yeah, the reason I brought up that they beat the Celtics twice is because of the offense that they have that can hit that level. I mean, everyone of your listeners who just watched Pacers-Knicks Game 7, which I'm sure they were trying to figure out who the Celtics were going to play, like that what happened in that game, that was obviously like a historic night, right? But like they hit 120 a ton in the first round. They hit 120 a few times in the second round. Like they can do that a lot, right? That's what they do. And you nailed it. They call their offense random. And to them, it's not, right? If it was actually random to them internally, it would be confusing and a mess. But they just have a good feel for each other and what's going to happen and what it's going to lead to. And if they see a mismatch, they'll poke at it. And there's going to be very few of those in the series, which is something I think is very interesting. But, the Knicks are starting a 6'4" guy at power forward. Yeah, Siakam, right? You're going to set the screen. You're going to post up if they switch. And if not, we're going to go. And then they just do it. And they know exactly how to do it. And in the postseason, and since the Siakam trade too, I'm not calling them a good defense, but they've defended well enough that they can play in transition, which is where they're, just so unbelievable that no one has figured out how to stop them there yet. And so they can beat anyone when their offense hums the way it does. The problem is, one, it doesn't always look that good. Two, their defense has been better, like I said, but isn't always good enough. Like the Knicks tore it apart 3 times. The Bucks tore it apart a couple times. The Bucks tore it apart in a game that they lost because the Pacers offense was so good. But a team like the Celtics, who's also less variance because they're so talented, but takes a ton of threes, and that can lead to some variance just naturally, like could just score a ton of points every game, right? So that's where I think this one will be interesting. Is I have no doubt that the Pacers will score a lot in every series they play now. They'll have some games where they stink. They have every round so far. But can they actually guard the Celtics? Can they actually show their defense against what was the best offense in the NBA this season, is the second best in the playoffs behind only the Pacers? Can they actually stop them in any way? Because that is, if they can't, it's going to be really hard for them to play the way they want for 48 minutes, any game.
This is the number one key for the Celtics to me. It's good offense and protect the ball. That's it. And we asked Derek White about it, and he said, you got to get a shot up every time. That's the key against the Pacers. Every time you come down and have an offensive possession, it has to end with a shot attempt, because if it ends with anything else, you are potentially giving up a transition opportunity, and that's death against the Pacers. Like I want to make sure we're paying the Pacers a proper amount of respect, that there is a healthy fear of what their offense can do to a team. And you don't want to get into a shootout. The Celtics might be the best equipped team to get into a shootout with the Pacers.
I think, for my money, I think so. I think they are.
And that's fine, but that's not how you want to win. You want to, and you also don't want to play slow. This is another, I think, misconception here with the Celtics. The Celtics do not, and I don't think they should, play slow against the Pacers. They should play with good pace and start their offense early, because if you're going to attack that Pacers defense, it's more about making them make decisions, make them put 2 on the ball, make them try to, weak double teams, make them blow a rotation. It's not just about get Haliburton in the action, get Nembhard in the action, which is fine. You're going to do that, but it's more about make them move. And when they move, they will make mistakes, and you capitalize on those mistakes.
You are on it. That's when they're at their worst defensively, is rotations. I mean, that's when most teams are, to be fair, but especially a team like the Pacers, and especially in the postseason when you have to do more unique coverages, or it's more matchup based in general, and like one thing you can poke at changes everything, and you have to figure out, okay, we have to stop this one specific thing, and then you change the rest of your game plan around that. Well, then a bunch of other stuff opens up, right? Like we saw that in the last round for the Pacers, who were like, okay, we have to send 2 to Jalen Brunson, and then Dante DiVincenzo was like, great, I'm going to score 35 points every game, right? Like you just have to figure out what hole you're stopping. The Celtics ran into that with Evan Mobley a little bit last round to a different degree and on the other end of the floor. So that will be fascinating to me. And where I would like to go with that is, this is my biggest question of the entire series, and I'm curious what you think the answer is on the Celtics side. Who do you think Tyrese Haliburton will guard?
I will tell you after the break. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. It's America's #1 sports book. It's playoff time here in the NBA and the NHL, and FanDuel is going to give you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's any winning $5 bet. That gets you $150 bet, $150 on in bonus bets to bet on anything: spreads, money lines, player props, and more. I'm looking at the Celtics and Pacers game 1. The Celtics are favored by 10 points in game 1. You can put that down. You can just put $5 on the Celtics to win by 10. And if you get that, then you get your $150 bet there, $150 in bonus bets. The Celtics are very, 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 very heavy favorites to win this series. So go ahead, give it a shot there. FanDuel.com/lockedon is where you go. FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every playoff shot count. And also make sure that you're using the tools that are available to set your limits, set your budget, and you can have fun gambling responsibly at FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics and Locked On Pacers your first listen every day. Go check out Locked On Sports today, streaming 24/7 on YouTube. This crossover show will definitely be on Locked On Sports today on YouTube and the Amazon Fire TV channels app. All these big shows like this are on there, all our big national shows, all the big stories with all of our local experts. So go check that out. All right, let's get back into this discussion. Who does Tyrese Haliburton guard, I believe was the question. It's a good question, because I feel like they're going to want to hide him, right?
The reason I ask is because Nembhard, Nesmith, Siakam to an extent, and Turner are good defenders. So it makes they're good enough, right? Haliburton is not. And the Knicks' best game of the series offensively, he stunk on defense. I very rarely asked Tyrese Haliburton about defense after the game, but after game 5, I said, how do you think you defended tonight? And he said, awful. He's like, I was terrible in the first half. And so against the Celtics lineup, that's like that all-star or that fringe all-star or those 2 all-NBA guys, or they're not going to put him on Al Horford, right? Like, I just don't know where they can put him. And so that's where the Celtics, who have all these potent weapons, are going to, I think, start their attack a lot.
Yeah, so this is where the defense is the difference bullet point comes in.
Yeah.
How do the Pacers, to expand it out, how do the Pacers defend the Celtics? Because I think this is going to be another big Al Horford series. And, I think they're going to try to follow the template. So if we talk this through, Turner stays on Horford. You dare Horford to shoot, because Turner's going to come in and help against the drives. So you kick it out to Horford. Horford has two options. He can just shoot the shot and you get a token challenge. Or I like the idea of the Celtics saying, okay, if you want to help way off of him and just kind of not even really challenge or late challenge or whatever, then I want to flow Al Horford into a dribble handoff or a pitch and chase and say, okay, if you're not going to have a defender all the way up there, then I'm going to have Derek White or Drew Holiday at the top of the key somewhere, or maybe somebody who's in the corner. When the ball goes to Horford, that player, one way or the other, flows into a DHO, and now Horford picks his guy, and there's no help there. So you've got a better 3-point shooter. So it's gonna be tough to hide Haliburton anywhere, because if you hide him on White or on Holiday, then I plant Holiday in the corner, and that's where I'm flowing my DHO. I'm going, you kick out to Horford, and I'm running him up, and I'm just giving White and Holiday wide open 3-pointers. And that's going to force Turner to step out and help, because they're going to be like, well, we can't let that happen. And now that's going to flow into, you just flip it around, run another pick and roll. And now Horford's in the short roll and he's picking you apart. So there's no good answer, because there's no real weak link for Haliburton to guard. You might just want to put him on Horford, and maybe I don't know, like he's helping but not at the rim, and he can recover at least out to a shooter, and Turner can X out onto Horford, and you kind of do it that way. But I don't have a good answer. I don't have a good lineup, a good matchup, because even without Porzingis, there's no place to put Haliburton. There's no place to hide him.
So, yes, you're right. So the real trouble with the best answer directly is Horford. The problem is there's nowhere to put Turner then. And so you can't do that.
Because you're going to put him on Holiday or something, and that
doesn't help you. Yeah, exactly. So if Porzingis was playing, they'd be really screwed, because then that Horford option doesn't even exist. But my guess is the answer is going to be Drew Holiday, and I bet you see Drew Holiday the screener, or Drew Holiday be taking it up way more than he did in previous rounds in this series, and then you hope Haliburton can hang in the matchup, because to me you can't guard the Celtics one-on-one. Duh. But if they can do their best, that's their best chance of hanging, is if he can hold up in a matchup, then their offense is potent enough to keep up. That's the weakest point of any matchup to me in the series, depending on how people feel about Horford's mobility, because even with good defenders, and now Horford's a great defender, even though he's slower, Miles Turner has been awesome at tearing them up in the postseason. Hartenstein and Brook Lopez, like, they tried cross-matching, they did all sorts of stuff, and the Pacers have done well in their front court all playoffs. I have confidence that Turner and Siakam can find their advantages. I don't necessarily know what the Pacers can do with Haliburton defensively, and maybe the answer is he'll just be so good on offense it won't matter at all. But that is to me one of the biggest questions of the series.
So I'm thinking it through, and I'm thinking, if that's the case, you can throw a wrinkle by keeping you keep Holiday in the dunker spot with Haliburton there, and you just set high pick and roll with Horford, and you challenge, like, how deep is Miles Turner going to drop, right? How deep? Because if you set that pick up high, and you give Tatum or whomever that runway, they're just going to step into in rhythm 3-pointers. So he's going to have to be out around the 3-point line. If Turner is up around the 3-point line, then he's going to get blown by, and that's going to leave Haliburton as the low man. And then he's going to step up, and either he's going to commit fouls, or the dump off to Holiday is going to be right there. And Holiday's great in that dunker spot, and he can turn and whip it to the corner. So,
and Drew could post up a little bit too, which is also a tough part of it.
So this is why I think the Celtics offense is gonna cook. The Celtics offense is going to cook. The question is, can the Celtics defense, all the Celtics defense needs to do is get back and rebound. That's it.
Easy. Sounds so easy.
It sounds easy, but like protect the ball, don't turn it over. And the thing about the Pacers defense is it'll gamble, it'll go for those steals because the steals turn into points. Don't give up. Be crisp with your passing. And we've seen the Celtics in previous series against Cleveland. Joe Mazzulla said, we didn't show our poise in the first half of game 4, where, it's like just pass the ball to the guys in the green jerseys. Like that's very simple. And so the Celtics have a little bit of a propensity for getting loose with the ball. They can't do that against the Pacers. So protect the ball, rebound, and like one of the reasons why I like on offense Holiday in the dunker spot is he's going to get in there and grab a couple of rebounds himself, offensive rebounds, which I think the Pacers are going to be like susceptible to. I think the Celtics have the ability either that or corner crashes. Like the Holiday and White are great corner crashes, like to the middle of the paint towards the nail, and getting those long rebounds and keeping possessions alive. I think if the Celtics can do those things, then they should be okay.
Should be. The other end of the floor will be fascinating to me. You put it in the side. D is the difference in the series because it sounds all great that the Celtics defense is so good. Best defense left in the playoffs. No one has been able to stop the Pacers. It's not even, the best defenses against the Pacers this season have had a lot of size. And the Celtics had some success, and they have size, so they'll do well. But they don't have like Orlando, LA level, cook it up kind of size. That's what really, the Magic D screwed up the Celtics, right? Like they just have arms and size everywhere. So I am curious how deterrent the Celtics can be. They did have, they were the first team to pants embarrass the Pacers this season, right? That game in early November was
that was bad, but that was no Haliburton.
Haliburton didn't play. Yes, but they've shown that as Bruce Brown, Haliburton didn't play in Miami, and they hung 144 on the Heat. Like, obviously he's very good, but that wasn't the only reason they sucked that game. So if the Pacers can't be stopped, like what do you think the Celtics are going to do to it sounds so easy, get back, but the Pacers weave around in transition, and as soon as they realize you don't know who you're guarding, that guy's getting the ball, and it doesn't matter who's out there, if it's McConnell or Haliburton or both of them or Siakam and McConnell, whatever. They have two ball handlers who are going to shove it down your throat and score a billion points. Like, I think they're going to have no problem scoring in this series. I really do, and that's why I'm so fascinated by the Pacers' defensive side of this, because I think they're going to, even though I have a lot of respect for the Celtics defense, I think the Pacers can poke holes in it. They just have all year, and I'm curious what you think the Celtics can do about it.
I'll let you know in just a second. Today's show is brought to you by Prize Picks. It's America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members, but you're not playing against any of them. You're playing against the projections. You pick more or less on 2 or more player stats, and then you watch the winnings roll in. If you can do it with as few as 4 correct picks, you can turn $10 into potentially 1,000 right now with the NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, college sports, international sports, depending on where you are. Like there's a potential for you to bet on to pick projections on everything that Prize Picks has to offer. WNBA, you can pick more or less on Caitlin Clark 3-pointers. We just watched the my Connecticut Sun beat the Indiana Fever. And I did not play Prize Picks for that night, but I could have if I wanted to. So go check it out. It's very simple. Download the app. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. That's LOCKEDONNBA when you download the Prize Picks app. Then you just go sign up. You pick more or less and get yourself a chance to win up to 10 times your money. So check it out at Prize Picks. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. All right, Tony. So Celtics defense, what are they going to do? This is the interesting thing. Like I think you're going to, it's almost like two similar approaches. You pick the guy that you're going to help off of, and to me, that's Pascal Siakam. You're willing to give up, you help off of him from three, right? Like he's the guy, right? Like he's not gonna kill you from three. So
he's gonna take 2 dribbles toward the basket and kill you from 18 feet.
And that's fine. That's fine. To me, this becomes a math equation. I am trying to dare the Pacers, who love to drive. I'm trying to dare them into 2-point shots, because if the Celtics win the 3-point matchup, then they can win the math, right? It's about Celtics threes versus Indiana twos. And if the Pacers are willing to put up a ton of 3-pointers and play that game, then it's going to be very tough for the Celtics. If the Celtics run them off the line, but can protect the rim, which they are good at protecting the rim, and that's going to be like the biggest battle between a team that really likes to get to the rim and the Celtics, who need to protect the rim. If they can deter shots at the rim, defend without fouling, and rebound, then they'll be fine, because now the Pacers are taking more 2s than 3s. And if you can bait them into that 2-point battle or 2-point area, then you're going to win the math battle, because the Celtics are absolutely going to put up 43 pointers, no matter what the Pacers do. The Celtics are definitely going to put up a ton of 3-pointers. And if they're hitting, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, right? And they don't even have to hit at 40%. They just need to hit at a decent clip, 37, 38%. And if it's 3s versus 2s, they're going to win that. So defensively, I'm daring Siakam. Like, you want to step into 18-footers? All you, my man, all you. The Celtics are the number 1 team in the NBA in contesting shots. So contest those shots, make those shots kind of difficult. And if he makes tough 18-footers, then congratulations, Pascal Siakam. You're going to score 28 points in a Pacers loss.
John, I'm getting a call. It's from Tom Thibodeau and Doc Rivers. They said they tried your strategy in the first 2 rounds. Didn't work.
Yeah, the Celtics have longer, better defenders.
Yes,
they have longer, better defenders. Like the Pacers, the Bucks. No matter, like, they can say that strategy didn't work, but it's the Bucks.
Putting Brook Lopez on him was a disaster. That went so bad.
And like the Knicks, and first of all, that series went 7, and the Knicks stupidly threw the shell of OG Anunoby out there, which was
that was sad, man. That was sad.
That's where, like, keeping it real goes wrong, right? Like it's Tom Thibodeau. Oh, you go out there. Whatever you're giving, we need more. That's not enough. Like, okay,
any of your listeners are saying, "Oh, Porzingis can come back now." Watch that sequence of 5 minutes and tell me you think a player should come back early ever again. Like, ever.
No. And I can tell you that the Celtics are absolutely not going to bring him back early. The Celtics have longer defenders who can challenge shots. And the number one thing, honestly, you're going to have to pick your poison against the Pacers. You're going to have to trust the game plan and understand that this is a 7-game series, that this plan of attack could burn you. It could lose a game or 2, right? Is it going to lead to the Pacers winning 4 out of 7 times? And that's where I think the Celtics, all you need to do is limit them. You're not trying to stop the Pacers. You're trying to keep them to 105, 110, right? It's not, you don't want them to put up 120, 130. You're not trying to hold them to 95. You're not trying to stop necessarily. You're trying to get the right shots into the right guys' hands, understanding that a lot of guys are dangerous, but you're playing the math game of 2 versus 3, and you're trusting your offense to be part of your defense in that everybody on the Celtics can hit shots, that they're going to hit their fair share of shots, their fair share of three-pointers, that they're going to protect the ball and prevent some transition by just hitting shots and getting back and setting a defense, and that limits the potency of the Pacers to some degree. And you just got to trust all of that to come together and equal 4 wins in 7 games. And I think that's the formula that the Celtics trust, and that's what's going to win them the series.
2 more things I want to talk about. One will be really quick. Is TJ McConnell versus Peyton Pritchard the farthest into the playoffs we've been with 2 players balling who are both shorter than us, John? I mean, this is unbelievable.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's
great.
The Spider-Man meme. That's the Spider-Man pointing at each other.
Very differently, but there is a lot of Spider-Man elements to
it. So yeah, they're both like the little annoying, guard that
every team says, "Oh, that guy killed us." Well, yeah, he kills everybody. He's a good player.
Yeah,
good player.
Yeah. Like TJ McConnell's going to do 5 things. You're like, what the what? Come on. And Peyton Pritchard's going to go grab 2 offensive rebounds, 3 offensive rebounds. You're going to be like, wait a second. He snuck past this guy stuck past Miles Turner and got the offensive rebound. Are you kidding me? Like that's going to happen. Each side's going to be like, it's the Family Guy. I've used this analogy before. It's the Family Guy meme where the guy in prison, he stabs himself. He's like, oh, this is what I'm doing to people? I belong here. Like, oh, we've unleashed this Peyton Pritchard is what our TJ McConnell does to other people. Like, oh my God, this is horrible. What are we doing?
That's a great analogy. That will be fun. I'm looking forward to the angsty fans from that. The last thing, this will be kind of shorter, is the pace part of this. This is where a lot of the matchup stuff just gets thrown out the windows at some point. If you're just like, oh my God, the Pacers keep coming and coming and coming. This is so ridiculous. On one hand, that sounds great. The Pacers have won with pace all season. The reason their pace doesn't look good if you just sort the advanced stats of the playoffs is because pace covers both teams, and they've played against 2 really slow teams. So their defensive possessions have been long. They're still playing fast, clearly. The Celtics have the slowest pace of the postseason. Mm-hmm. They are, to put it lightly, a little more methodical with their approach. I mean, obviously, if you're taking the ball out of the net, then you can't play fast. But whichever team can do their best to, regardless of defensive possession result, impose their pace and style will go a long way in this series.
It's my number one fear of the Celtics offense is getting too bogged down in the matchup hunting, which is why I said what I said at the top. Make them move, make them make decisions, make them make mistakes. That's how you matchup hunt against the Pacers, and that's how you exploit their defense. Don't start your offense with 12 on the shot clock. Start it with 17 on the shot clock. Get that ball over half court.
17.
Get into your you know what I mean? I know the Pacers like
22, baby.
22, right. But you know what I mean? Like, this is what the Celtics do. They walk it up. They get it over half court too often, just as it's flipping to 16. And then they're surveying, and then they're calling the guy. They're calling whoever Haliburton's guarding over, and they're going to run that action, and they take away the options. And I've said this a million times on my podcast. Do not help the other team by eliminating options on your own by starting your offense late. When you start your offense late in the shot clock, 10 seconds or single digits, you've now eliminated Derek White and Drew Holiday and so on, because they know you're not going to pass, because Tatum or Brown it's one pick, one action, and that's either a shot or not a shot. So it bails out the other team. So as I've said in this podcast, the key to slowing the Pacers pace down is making shots and protecting the ball. The more quality shots you can get, the more they're taking the ball out of the net, and they'll still run off the makes, but you're still limiting them to a degree. But for the Celtics, they should not slow things down. They should play offensively with good pace and get those. That's the best way for them to get those shots to fall. If they don't, then they start going into slow ISO, then you're going to get a lot of misses. You're going to get a lot of transition opportunities, and the Pacers are going to put runs together.
There's going to be a series where the Pacers when the ball goes out of bounds for whatever reason, they need to do what they do and hustle and get it in fast while guys are still retreating. They used to do that way more than they do now, but it's one of their secret weapon superpowers to playing with pace no matter what happens on a possession.
Al Horford loves doing that.
Al Horford's good at a lot of stuff. Was you who told me the story about him asking an assistant coach to like contest his shots a specific way to work on all sorts? Like he is so meticulous with how he approaches.
It wasn't me, but that makes sense.
I've heard that. Yeah, I mean, what an awesome player. We have one more bullet point on the side. Predictions, John.
Predictions.
My listeners are not happy with me for picking the Knicks last round, so it's gonna be a tough predictions around here.
Well, you want me to go first? Because I'm saying, okay, I'll talk you through it.
Okay, great.
The Celtics are going to be favored in
By
every game this series.
A lot, yeah.
Right. So a sweep is on the table because they're going to be a team that's favored every series in every game of the series. That's going to take them playing perfectly, I think. There's too much shooting variance. There's too much offense. Sweep is on the table. I don't think it's going to be a sweep. 5 feels like the most likely possibility because you're giving the Pacers the one game where like they played game 7 and they just shoot the lights out. They're going to win. They're going to win at least one of these games. I'm throwing in the Celtics one game where they miss everything. They're a little slow. They're not fully there. The Celtics, like the 2 game 2s that they played where just, so I'm putting those into the mix. So that means I'm saying Celtics in 6.
Wow. All right. I'm not allowed. I don't think you get a mea culpa when you're wrong. I would, if I knew OG Anunoby was going to miss 5 games, I probably would have picked the Pacers to win last round. But I don't think that's fair to say because this was like a thing that could happen to the Knicks at any point with how much they play their guys' minutes. So
I know.
God, I gotta own the L, man.
Tibbs.
I picked against the Pacers and it was wrong to do last round. And I'm going to get crap from my listeners again because I'm going to pick the Celtics here. Here's what I think, though. I don't think anyone in the league can sweep the Indiana Pacers. They just
that's fair.
Too high of an offensive ceiling. There's going to be a game in any they could be playing some of the best teams ever, the 73 Warriors, whatever. They would score 130 in a game in that series. They just have such good offensive talent and pace and tempo. And the other factor here that I find endlessly fascinating is they have not lost a home game, John. Do you know when the date is? No, you don't. There's no way. Since March 18th, they are crushing it at home. So for them to, if this goes 7, I mean, so I bring that up to say, like in my head, home court advantage matters a lot less in a series like this, where variance is just so crazy that like either team could just win any game at any time. So like in my head, I want to say, oh, home court doesn't matter, but the Pacers have said, no, screw that. Home court doesn't matter. We're going to win every game we play here. So all these factors are competing in my brain, but the one that matters the most to me is the Celtics are just fascinatingly talented. They won 64 games for a reason. What is it? A top 10 net rating ever? Like ever in the NBA?
Yeah.
You know, better than me. I also was going to say Celtics in 6, but it's boring to have the same prediction as you. So I'll say Celtics in 7.
Ooh, 7. Look, the Pacers haven't lost at home, but the Celtics haven't lost on the road in the playoffs.
That's
so
crazy. That is
right.
Game 3 is going to be a wild game.
So we'll see.
Wow.
I'm curious to see how the Pacers react in that first game. Coming off a 7-game series, this is the Celtics with 5 days off. So we could be looking at a game 1 kind of rough one for the Pacers.
Yeah, and they've had time to prep, right? The Pacers had like 1 day to really dive into the Celtics,
Right. So, it's going to be tough, new team, new all that stuff. And that's why the Celtics have lost these game 2s. The other teams come in and the Celtics have had such an easy time in game 1s that they kind of relax in game 2 and it burns them. So hopefully the Celtics can take care of both games at home because the Pacers are tough on the road at home. And so the Celtics can have a tougher time on the road. We'll see, but Who knows? It's going to be tough. The Celtics.
I'm looking forward to the barrage of hatred in my comments once again. Deserve. Not only did I not pick the Pacers, I was wrong. So I deserve all the L's. I said that in my first 90 yesterday. Come get me. I'm an idiot. I've been wrong before and I'll be wrong again.
A lot of fun talking to Tony. We'll talk to Tony plenty during this series, unless the Celtics make quick work of the Pacers, in which case we won't talk to him a lot. But we'll definitely talk to him again. He's one of the best we've got here on the Locked On Podcast Network. So check him out. Follow him for the other side. Listen to Locked On Pacers for the other side of the story, so you can get both sides. And you always want to hear what the enemy's saying. So check him out there. Thank you, Pacers fans. Hope you enjoy this show. A lot of respect for the Pacers, but I still think the Celtics are better. That's how it is. So make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcast. Watch the show on YouTube. Get into the comment section. Let me know what you're thinking and share the podcast. Spread the word. Tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.